Namaskar and welcome back to Media Scan, your weekend dose of headlines, controversies and perspectives. Viewers, all through this week, the debate that was the biggest and the most prominent across media platforms was about the implementation of a uniform civil code in the country. Now, what triggered this debate? It was a comment from the Prime Minister Narendra Modi about the need and the politics around the opposition for a UCC. At the same time, the Law Commission of India calling for feedback, views and ideas on the implementation of UCC was the second cause of trigger. Now, as far as the media is concerned, the debate hovered around the question whether the country needs a uniform civil code or it does not. What do our experts have to say? What are the views of stakeholders, women, Pasmanda community members, and what is exactly the constitutional position on this very sensitive, the vexed issue? Let's discuss. Joining me this evening on Media Scan, Manan Kumar Mishra has been Chief of the Supreme Court Bar Association, well-known lawyer, constitutional expert. Namaskar, Manan Mishra. Welcome, sir.
Namaskar.
Also joining me this evening, Dr. Zakia Soman, well-known rights activist for Muslim women and other people, human rights activist. You have been hearing her on Media Scan on earlier occasions. Welcome back, Dr. Zakia Soman. So good to have you. And my third guest this evening, someone who is joining us for the first time, Dr. Faiyaz Ahmad Fyzie, well-known activist for the rights of the Pasmanda communities, about what ails the Muslim society and what measures can be taken to ameliorate, to improve the situation of Pasmandas, women, etc. Welcome to Media Scan, Dr. Fyzie. Namaskar.
Namaskar. बहुत आभार आपका.
And may I come to Manan Mishra here? Mr. Mishra, the first question that ails all of us every time this uniform civil code debate comes into the headlines is, it sounds very easy, it sounds very comfortable, but when it comes to the nitty-gritties of the legal situation, the constitutional position, there is a strong dichotomy, or can I say a contradiction here, because while on the one hand, the Constitution of India allows religious minorities to practice, to profess and to propagate their religion, which includes their personal laws, there are many fundamental rights which guarantee equal opportunities, equal rights to every citizen, which somewhere willy-nilly are being hobbled and are being, challenged by these personal laws. Legally, sir, how easy or how difficult will it be to bring a uniform civil code in the country if the government decides to go ahead with it? Quickly.
So rightly you have pointed out about the right to equality. See, every citizen has the right to equality. That is a fundamental right under our constitution. So women, every woman of the country, women citizen, they have also the right to equality. See, there are many rights and many legal as well as the fundamental rights which our Hindu women and the women of other communities, they are enjoying. But see, there is a sharp discrimination, a strong discrimination with the women, particularly the women of other communities. See, the laws with regard to the divorce, the laws with regard to adoption, the laws with regard to succession, the laws with regard to the inheritance. There are many flaws in other personal laws. But see, once the common civil code comes, a uniform civil code comes, see, I have seen the comments. There is, you are right in saying that there is a dichotomy. And there are difference of views. Yesterday, Honorable Prime Minister also said so. But see, in the long run, this is going to bring the real national integration in the country. Everybody will have equal right in the matters of inheritance, in the matters of divorce. See, this, you know, because of this personal law, yesterday only a woman, a well-known lawyer of Supreme Court, she said, it is there on the social media, that the Sikhs from other countries, they come here, they marry 12 years, 13 years old girls, Muslim girls, in the name of that what is the technical name, I can't say, that is traveler's marriage. So long they are here, they marry, they enjoy, and once they go out, they leave these poor young girls.
Right, got it. I think our other experts will be able to throw better light on that question. Coming to Zakia Soman. Zakia Soman, a very straight question to you. Manan Mishra has raised the question that these personal laws at many points, they become an impediment towards ensuring equal rights and the welfare of our women folk, in this case the Muslim society. It may apply to other societies also. So, direct question to you, is the time come for a uniform civil code in the country? Is it an idea for which the time is now?
Thanks for having me, Smitaji. I think the time has already, gone. It should have happened yesterday. What I'm trying to say is, when the Hindu personal laws were being reformed during 54, 55, 56, the range of laws, Hindu Marriage Act, Hindu Succession Act, Adoption Act, range of laws which were being brought, which really translated into reality, give rights to Hindu women. For instance, once upon a time, it was considered a sacrament, and the Hindu woman had no right to divorce. But in the Hindu Marriage Act, she can take divorce. She gets share in the property. As recently as 2005, we have had an amendment whereby even a married Hindu daughter is entitled to share in family property. So
yes,
the Hindu society has benefited from this massive reform, and as a result, the country has benefited. But with a big gap and with a big lacuna. The lacuna is that no reform could happen in the Muslim personal law. As a result, the entire population of Muslim women of this country were left without any legal protection. And Sir was referring to that. So the whole question of child marriages, the question of polygamy, the question of nikah halala, denial of custody and guardianship of children, denial of share in property, temporary marriages such as muta marriages and misyar marriages, all of these are discriminatory practices, misogynist practices, which have found currency in our country. Because there is virtually no protection, legal protection whatsoever for Muslim women. We are still governed by the
one query here, Zakia Soman, before you proceed with your argument. You have referred to the 2005 judgment, when the law was brought in to allow Hindu married daughters also a share in their parental property, which was not given to them in that manner earlier. And also, earlier reforms in the society, for example, Hindu scriptures. In Hinduism, marriage is a sacrament. There was no concept of a separation. But then, seeing the demands of a modern life, seeing the demands of individual freedom, the divorce laws have been introduced many decades ago. My question to you is, when a law was introduced on, doing away with triple talaq, the kind of resistance which emanates from the Muslim society, doesn't that make it difficult? For example, in the Hindu society also, there were some segments who did have a sort of a reservation, but altogether the society welcomed the reforms because it was understood that modern life, cannot follow, by letter and spirit what was decided thousands of years ago.
You're very right, Smitaji. Unfortunately, nothing can happen in our country without politicization. So the whole issue of Uniform Civil Code is a highly politicized issue today. It's a highly contentious issue.
True.
And mainly for two reasons. One reason is, of course, because it is part of BJP's agenda. It is part of BJP's electoral manifesto. So that is one reason. And the second equally important reason is because the Muslim clergy is just not open to any reform. The moment we talk about reform, the moment Muslim women demand rights, the clergy says the Shariat is in danger. But Shariat, what is Shariat? Shariat is just Islamic law, which is a man-made law. And in our country, there is no written down Shariat. We are ruled by the 1937 law, Shariat Application Act. That law is silent on all the important aspects of marriage and family. It doesn't mention about age of marriage. It doesn't mention about procedure of divorce. It doesn't mention that polygamy is illegal. It doesn't disbar, temporary misyar and muta marriages.
Okay, in one line, Zakia, Soman, when the law is so, inadequate to address the questions of, modern life, why this rigidity to stick to it?
Yeah, because the clergy, especially the conservative clergy, fears that they will lose their dominance over the community.
Right.
They fear that they will become irrelevant. And I see that they are quite disconnected from the ground reality.
Fine. We'll come back to you on that because there are some very pertinent questions involved here. But may I bring in Dr. Faiyaz Ahmad Fyzie? Dr. Fyzie, a straight question to you, sir. When the Prime Minister made his address where he mentioned about the need for UCC and the politics around it, he especially mentioned the Pasmanda communities, the Pasmanda biradaris, who are the biggest sufferers perhaps of this, the sticking to the personal laws. You being a very vocal voice who has been speaking and writing profusely on the sufferings and the demands of the Pasmanda biradaris, do you think it is time to bring in a uniform civil code that will ameliorate the condition of the Pasmandas? Or do you think this, the women question is more in focus and the Pasmanda question is only political?
नहीं, देखिए मैं एक बात बताऊं, आपने बहुत ही अच्छे से प्रश्न को सजाया है। देखिए, जो पसमानदा क्या है, डाउन ट्रोडन है, सबअल्टर्न है। किसी समाज में अगर सामाजिक सुधार नहीं है और किसी समाज में अगर सामाजिक न्याय है तो इसका भुगतान जो है, जो डाउन ट्रोडन है, सबअल्टर्न है, उसको करना पड़ता है। तो आप यूसीसी बिल्कुल ये पारिवारिक जो मैटर्स होते हैं, शादी ब्याह, संबंध विच्छेद, उत्तराधिकार, जैसा कि अभी एडवोकेट साहब बता रहे थे, तो उसमें अगर ये सुधार नहीं है तो इसका सफर जाहिर सी बात है पसमानदा होगा, जो कुल मुस्लिम आबादी का 90% होता है। मैं थोड़ी इसमें अपने रखना चाहता हूँ, पसमानदा एंगल से मैं कहना चाहूंगा। मैं आपका धन्यवाद दूंगा डीडी न्यूज का कि पहली बार उन्होंने पसमानदा समाज के प्रतिनिधि को, जो कुल मुस्लिम आबादी का 90% नेशनल चैनल पे बहस हो रही है। अब तक इससे पहले सिर्फ अशराफ वर्ग ही सारे मुसलमानों का प्रतिनिधित्व रखता है। अभी मुस्लिम पर्सनल लॉ बोर्ड में एक ड्राफ्ट जमा करने की बात हुई है। मुझे नहीं लगता कि मुस्लिम पर्सनल लॉ बोर्ड ने इस देश में बसने वाले 90% मुसलमान देश पसमानदा से कोई राय मशवरा किया है, उसकी क्या राय है, ओपिनियन है। आप हमसे बुला के पूछ रही हैं, मैं इसका आभार व्यक्त करता हूँ। अब मैं आपको बताऊं, मैं 2-3 चीजें इस पे कहना चाहता हूँ। देखिए, वकील साहब जो अभी बात कह रहे थे, वो मिसियार कहलाता, जो ट्रेवलिंग मैरिज होती है उसको मिसियार कहते हैं। वो मुता नहीं होता है, वो मिसियार होता है। अगर 6 महीने से ज्यादा आप कहीं सफर कर रहे हैं तो आप मैरिज कर सकते हैं, वो एक अलग बात। दूसरे देखिए, यूसीसी जो है, समान नागरिक संहिता, ये डायरेक्टिव प्रिंसिपल में है कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन के। तो इसको ना कहना, इसका विरोध करना, संविधान का विरोध करना है, पहली चीज। दूसरी चीज, ये कैसे होगा, क्या होगा, हाँ, इस पे एक ओपन बहस होनी चाहिए। जैसे कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन ड्राफ्ट असेंबली में बहस हुई थी एक कानून के लिए, इस पर भी एक कानून जो है, संबंध विच्छेद है, उत्तराधिकार है, गोद लेने की बात है, विरासत कैसी होगी, इस पे बहस होनी चाहिए, राष्ट्रव्यापी तौर पे बहस होनी चाहिए, उसके बाद लागू होना चाहिए। लेकिन यूसीसी का इनकार करना, संविधान का इनकार करना है। एक और बात, अशराफ वर्ग जो है, जो मुस्लिम समाज को लीड करता है, वो लगातार इसको जो है सांप्रदायिक मुद्दा बनाने का प्रयास करता है। कुछ हिंदू राइट विंग भी इसको सांप्रदायिक मुद्दा बनाने का प्रयास करते हैं, जैसा कि अभी मैम कह रही थी। हमारा ये प्रयास होना चाहिए, हमारा आपका जो पैनलिस्ट यहाँ बैठे हुए हैं, जो इस देश के बुद्धिजीवी हैं, कि संविधान के मुद्दे को संविधान का मुद्दा बनाए रखना चाहिए। इसको सांप्रदायिक मुद्दा बनाने से हमें बचना चाहिए। जैसे ही कोई मुद्दा सांप्रदायिक होता है, एक पक्ष विपक्ष हो जाता है। मैं मुसलमान हूं तो मुझको लगता है कि यूसीसी आने से इस्लाम खतरे में हो जाएगा, तो मैं क्यों यूसीसी को सपोर्ट करूंगा। हमारा ये प्रयास होना चाहिए कि ये सांप्रदायिक मुद्दा ना बनने चाहिए। अब मैं आपको बताता हूं कि किस तरह से यूसीसी आने के बाद मुस्लिम समाज का कैसे फायदा होगा।
क्विकली सर। यस,
हाँ, यूसीसी में एक बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट बात है कल्चर का। कल्चर के आधार पे लोग इसका विरोध कर रहे हैं। लोग जो है ट्राइबल राइट्स के आड़ में इसका विरोध करे, सब अशराफ वर्ग कर रहा है। अब मैं आपको बताता था कि पसमानदा का जो कल्चर होता है वो जैसे भारत के अन्य लोग हैं, चाहे वो हिंदू हो, जैन हो, सिख हो, बौद्ध हो, जो इंडिजिनस लोग हैं उन्हीं की तरह उसका कल्चर होता है। अब एक कल्चर होता है संयुक्त परिवार का, पसमानदा भी संयुक्त परिवार के कल्चर का है, लेकिन उसको टैक्स में जो छूट मिलती है उसे इसलिए नहीं मिल पाती है क्योंकि वो मुसलमान है। तो संविधान ये कहता है कि धर्म के आधार पर किसी के साथ भेदभाव नहीं हो सकता है, लेकिन यह पर्सनल कानून होने की वजह से मुसलमान होने का हमें नुकसान हो रहा है। हमको अपने सभ्यता, संस्कृति और कल्चर के हिसाब से संयुक्त परिवार का लाभ नहीं मिल पा रहा है, पहली चीज। अब आइए, शरिया कई तरह से डिस्क्रिमिनेट करता है। मैं एक और महत्वपूर्ण बात बता दूं, जो इस्लामिक शरिया है उसमें पर्सनल लॉ में बहुत ज्यादा डिस्क्रिमिनेशन है। जैसे अगर किसी के दादा के जीवन में अगर उसके पिता की मृत्यु हो जाती है तो पैतृक संपत्ति में पोते को कोई अधिकार नहीं मिलता है। आप समझ सकते हैं कि एक आदमी जब वो जो अनाथ हो गया, उसकी पैतृक संपत्ति से भी उसको निकाल बाहर किया।
Yes, Dr. Fyzie, I think, going point to point, it may take a longer time than we have in our hand. So before we come to each of those, conditions or each of those laws which are not sort of, in consonance with equal rights of Muslims, let me get a clarification from Manan Mishra on one very pertinent question that you have raised, and that is the whole debate over uniform civil code gets mired in controversy because it is always communalized by the Muslims and sometimes even by the Hindu community or even others. How do we go about solving this challenge? Manan Mishra, is it true that the reason uniform civil code been enshrined in our directive principles of state policy, yet we have not been able to move forward on it, is simply because it gets mired in communalism every time?
Yeah. See, really, the country should be grateful to the two participants today. How nicely and how clearly they have actually expressed their views. Really, Dr. Zakia and Dr. Faiyaz both have explained the things very well. See, the expression and the narration of these two speakers, this itself shows clearly that there is a big communication gap. That is the main reason that some of the religious leaders who are in the garb of politics, they are doing something. They are trying to mislead the common citizen, the common people, who would be benefited because of this uniform civil code. So, actually today, the necessity is to convince and to make every Muslim citizen, every Hindu citizen, every citizen of the country aware of the advantages of this UCC.
No, but what about their reservation or the fear rather that all traditional customs and practices and rituals will be done away with? Is that really a fair, is that a true fear? Is there such a possibility?
Totally unfounded. See, Dr. Faiyaz has clearly said that this UCC is going to benefit the majority of Muslim class. He said that 90% are going to be benefited.
Yes.
So only because some of the clergies and conservative people, they are trying to mislead the Muslim actually community. So the only need for the politicians, for the actually intellectuals of the country is to convince the Muslim folk, the Muslim community, and the people like Dr. Faiyaz and Dr. Zakia, they should come forward. See, really, you are great that you have today given the opportunity to Dr. Faiyaz also to come on the TV and to express his views. This is being watched by several lakhs of the people, and this will benefit.
Fine. Let me get a view from Dr. Zakia Soman here. Zakia Soman, when the bill about the doing away with the practice of triple talaq was brought, there was a huge protest and there were a lot of hue and cry. However, the bill got passed in the way the legislation is passed in Parliament, and since then it is now a law, meaning to say that triple talaq is illegal now. And the Supreme Court, after the decision and the enabling legislation, women are benefiting. The numbers may not be too high, but they're actually quite satisfactory. So my question to you is is the instance, the example of the triple talaq decision not a kind of a model or a sample for the people who are fearing that, you know, the doing away with the personal laws is a dangerous move? Will they realize that this is actually for the betterment of the society? And how do you think this question of awareness, which Manan Mishra has just raised, can be sort of taken up?
I think it is very important, and as was flagged, that there is a communication gap. And besides the communication gap, there is also a lot of demonization. You know, the moment we talk about women's rights reform, UCC, then it is demonized as anti-religion. So there needs to be a awareness building education drive. And I think the Law Commission has taken the right step by initiating, the kind of consultation. But I think it should be more elaborate. It should be more in depth. I also feel 30-day time period is not enough because we are a very huge country, spread out across a huge geography. So we have waited for 70 years. We can wait for 6 months, 1 year is not going to make a big difference. We should involve all stakeholders. We should listen to women's voices. We should listen to progressive voices. And Smitaji, it is not just about the Muslims. It's also about, all other Indian citizens.
Correct.
It's about the, various ethnicities, various tribal groups. Within the Hindu community also, there are several subgroups. They have their own customary practices. So I think, a trust building and confidence building exercise should be undertaken. And that only the government can undertake. It can be the law ministry, it can be the law commission, it can be the Prime Minister himself. He has made the first statement. He can go on to assure that this is about gender justice and gender equality, and this is not about politics.
So modalities of the awareness can be, discussed and found out. But the question remains that wider awareness is the need of the hour. Dr. Faiyaz, I have very little time left on the show. I will give you 1 minute, sir. And what I want to know from you is, like you saw in the case of the triple talaq, I'm going back to that example again and again because it is such a historic moment. My question to you is, it was only when women went to Supreme Court, they fought their case bravely and they got a decision in their favor that, this objectionable practice had to be done away with. So similarly, is there really a demand from the Pasmanda Biradris, who are so huge in number, that their condition needs to be changed? Welfare is required and it can only be brought when discriminatory laws are not practiced. Is there really a movement in the Biradri? Quickly, sir.
बिल्कुल आई एग्री विथ यू। आप बिल्कुल सही कह रही हैं कि मैंने पहले ही कहा कि जब सामाजिक सुधार और सामाजिक न्याय होगी तो जो डाउन टोडन है उसी का फायदा होगा। पसमानदा का कल्चर की हमने बात की। देखिए, ट्रिपल तलाक से पसमानदा का कल्चर जो है ना, शादी ब्याह का, एक बार शादी ब्याह हो जाती है तो लोग निभाने का होता है, जैसे हिंदुओं के अंदर होता है। भले ही इस्लाम में तलाक है, ये है, लेकिन हमारे यहाँ तलाक को बहुत खराब समझा जाता है। और जो ट्रिपल तलाक था ना, उससे सिर्फ महिलाओं का नुकसान नहीं था, पुरुषों का भी नुकसान होता था, क्योंकि गुस्से में या इस तरह की कोई बात हो गई, घर में झगड़ा लड़ाई होगी, आमतौर से लोग हस्बैंड वाइफ एक दूसरे कहते हैं कि मैं तुम्हें नहीं रखूंगा, मैं तुम्हें छोड़ दूंगा। तो उसमें अशराफ मौलवी घुस जाता था, कहता था कि नहीं, अब आप लोग एक नहीं हो सकते हैं, अब एक होंगे तो हलाला कराना पड़ेगा।
So how do you suggest the awareness can be kicked off?
मैं उसकी बात कहता हूं। तो उससे जब फैमिली सेपरेट हो जाती थी, न सिर्फ लड़की की बल्कि लड़के की जिंदगी भी बर्बाद हो जाती थी। लड़के को भी दूसरा विवाह नहीं होता था, लेकिन अशराफ वर्ग में आसानी से तलाक भी हो जाता है, दूसरा विवाह भी हो जाता है, क्योंकि उनका अरबी ईरानी कल्चर इसको अलाउ करता है, हमारा भारतीय कल्चर इसको अलाउ नहीं करता। आखिरी बात मैं ये कहना चाहूंगा कि यहाँ जितने पैनलिस्ट हैं, मैम आप है, ये हम सब की जिम्मेदारी है। और मैं समझता हूँ कि उसी जिम्मेदारी के निर्वहन में आपने ये ऑर्गेनाइज किया है कि हम एक अवेयरनेस करें। जो दुष्प्रचार है यूनिफॉर्म सिविल कोड को लेके, उस दुष्प्रचार को खत्म करें। और ये हमने कहा कि इसको सांप्रदायिक मुद्दा नहीं बनाना है, इसको नागरिक अधिकारों का मुद्दा बनाना है। एक आखिरी बात मैं कह दूं, अगर किसी धर्म के हिसाब से, जो धर्म की बात हो रही थी कि संविधान में धर्म मानने की आजादी है, तो मैं थोड़ा सा 30 सेकंड लूंगा। देखिए, संविधान में जो धर्म मानने की आजादी है ना, वो धर्म के आध्यात्मिक स्वरूप के लिए है। आप धर्म को सामाजिक और राजनीतिक मामले में धर्म को नहीं ला सकते।
Okay, got your point, and that's a really new argument, sir. Allow me, Dr. Fyzie, to come to Manan Mishra for a final comment. Manan Mishra, awareness is one part of the question. The other part is how to actually implement the law or introduce it when the time comes. Because, come on, let us be fair. I mean, the moment this this draft or the law will come into in front of the public, in the public domain, there will be a flood of petitions is what everybody fears. What do you think is the legal way out to ensure it gets implemented or passed? Quickly, sir, in one line.
No, see, in past, so far the challenge to the courts and this that is concerned, 1985, you know, Sabano case. That
Yes,
came.
sir.
Then
Yes,
1995, Sarla Mudgal case. In this case, the Supreme Court, in fact, issued an advice. It was not a direction, but it was a suggestion to the then Prime Minister that this uniform civil code should come. This is a must for our country. Then again, certain judgments in 1997 and 2000 they came, but recently also in the month of March, a bench of Honorable Chief Justice Chanchud has said that now this is the time for the Parliament to make this to consider this.
So
and
you
make
are,
this.
are you saying that the courts are ready for it? It is politics which is the hurdle.
Yes, only the politics is the hurdle. Courts are ready to accept it because this will be in the interest of the nation.
Fine,
This will
fine.
be in the interest of every citizen of the country.
Got your point, sir. Got the point. And this will be in the, yes,
to
quickly,
your
please.
channel, one thing more I can say that this point has come from these two honorable speakers. The Bar Council will now undertake an awareness drive. All the lawyers of the country, they will make every citizen aware of this, the advantages and the benefits of this.
Fine,
uniform.
fine. Wonderful. That's a wonderful note to end this conversation, sir. I am afraid we would have taken it longer, but then we have just completely run out of time. So thank you, Manan Mishra, for joining Media Scan for the first time. I know you are away, but you have managed to find the time to speak to us. Also, Dr. Zakia Soman, always gracious to join us whenever we have requested her. Thank you, Dr. Soman. And Dr. Faiyaz Ahmad Fyzie, who has been fighting relentlessly for the rights and the views of the Pasmanda Biradri. We will certainly get back to you in another episode. Thank you, all of you.
Thanks.
So, as our guests have been reiterating, the Law Commission is agreeable, the government is favorable, the courts want it to be done. So, who doesn't want a uniform civil code in the country? Think about it. Till then, when we come back to you next weekend, namaskar.